Hi everyone, so I will introduce you what is Islamic ethic, especially in Islamic finance. So Islamic ethic in finance is rooted in Sharia Islamic law, which is provide moral and legal principle that guides economic activities, and it emphasizes justice, fairness, accountability and social responsibility. So in practice, Islamic finance avoids activity considered unethical or harmful such as riba, borrow and investment in prohibited industry. Instead, it promotes risk sharing, transparency and asset-backed financing that ensuring that wealth is generated through legitimate trade and productive activity. So overall, Islamic ethic in finance ensure that economic growth aligns with moral value, balancing profitability with social justice, trust and the well-being of community, which is maslahah. So why ethics are important in Islamic generally? So in Islamic, ethics are important because they form the foundation of a Muslim relationship with Allah, with other people and with the environment. So ethics, which is akhlak, guide behavior to ensure justice, honesty, compassion and responsibility in all aspects of life. They help Muslims fulfill their role as Khalifah on earth, ensuring that actions are not only lawful but also morally right, leading to harmony, trust and the pursuit of common good, which is maslahah.
Islam strongly emphasizes ethics, especially in financial matters. Finance in Islam must be based on honesty, fairness, trust and justice. That is why practices such as riba, waro and gambling are strictly prohibited because they create injustice and exploitation. Instead, Islamic finance promotes transparency, accountability and mutual benefit between all parties. By applying these ethical values, Islamic banks and financial institutions can ensure that their services are not only fair to customers but also pleasing to Allah. One of the key values in Islamic finance is honesty and transparency. Islamic teaches us not to cheat, deceive or hide any information in financial dealing. For example, in contract, all terms and conditions must be explained clearly so that both parties understand. Customers must know exactly what they are paying for without hidden charge or unfair practice. This value ensures trust between the bank and its client and builds long-term confidence in the financial system.
Hari ini saya nak kongsikan dua nilai penting dalam etika Islam khususnya dalam kewangan, iaitu keadilan dan ihsan serta amanah. Pertama sekali, mari kita lihat tentang keadilan dan ihsan. Dalam Islam, keadilan bukan sekadar soal undang-undang. Ia adalah asas dalam semua hubungan manusia. Allah sebut dalam surah An-Nahl ayat 90. Sesungguhnya Allah menyuruh berlaku adil dan berbuat ihsan. Maksudnya, bila kita terlibat dalam urusan kewangan, sama ada menandatangani kontrak, berjual beli atau melabur, kita mesti pastikan semua pihak mendapatkan hak mereka dengan adil. Contoh mudah, kalau kita tanda tangan kontrak pinjaman, syaratnya perlu jelas dan tidak menzalimi mana-mana pihak. Kalau kita berniaga, harga mesti telus dan tidak boleh ada caj tersembunyi atau menipu pelanggan. Itu baru dinamakan adil. Tapi Islam bukan setakat menyuruh adil, malah lebih daripada itu, iaitu ihsan. Ihsan bermaksud berbuat lebih baik daripada sekadar adil. Contohnya, bagi diskaun pada pelanggan tetap atau bagi kelonggaran bayaran bila kita tahu orang itu susah. Nilai ihsan ini menjadikan sistem kewangan Islam bukan sahaja adil tetapi juga penuh belas kasihan. Yang kedua adalah amanah. Amanah sangat besar maknanya dalam Islam. Nabi SAW pernah bersabda, tiada iman bagi orang yang tidak ada amanah. Jadi kita boleh bayangkan betapa pentingnya sifat ini dalam kewangan. Amanah bermaksud kita uruskan wang, harta dan kontrak dengan penuh tanggungjawab. Kalau kita bekerja di bank, kita amanah dengan duit pelanggan. Kalau kita usahawan, kita amanah dengan pelabur yang letakkan kepercayaan kepada kita. Malah, dalam kehidupan seharian pun, kalau kawan pinjam duit RM100, kita mesti pulangkan tepat pada masanya. Amanah itu bukan hanya soal wang besar, tetapi juga hal-hal kecil. Apabila kita gabungkan keadilan, ihsan dan amanah, sistem kewangan jadi lebih stabil, masyarakat lebih percaya dan yang paling penting, kita tidak hanya dapat keuntungan di dunia, tetapi juga keredaan Allah. Jadi sebagai umat Islam, kita bukan sekadar bercakap tentang etika Islam sebagai teori. Kita mesti praktikkan keadilan dan amanah ini dalam setiap transaksi, sama ada besar ataupun kecil.
In Islam, finance is not just about making profit, but it is also about being guided by values that ensure fairness, honesty, and responsibility. One of the key principles is accountability, or we call it mas'uliyah. As a Muslims, we believe that every financial action is not only accountable to people, but also to Allah. This means that when we deal with money, investments, or contracts, we must be honest and transparent because we will be questioned for it in the hereafter. Another important ethic is the avoidance of unethical practice. Islam strictly prohibits riba, which is interest, because it will create injustice and exploitation. We also avoid gharar, or excessive uncertainty in transactions, as it may lead to unfairness and disputes. Similarly, maisir or gambling is forbidden because it encourages speculation and harms society instead of creating real value. In short, Islamic ethics in finance are built on trust, fairness, and accountability. By following these values, Islamic finance aims to protect the rights of all parties and promote justice in the economic activities.
So Islamic banking replaces interest with a system called profit sharing. The system is based on fairness, where both the bank and the customers share the risk and rewards of a business. The two common contracts used are mudarabah and musyarakah. In a mudarabah agreement, the bank provides the capital while the customer provides skills and management. Profits are shared according to a pre-agreed ratio, but if there is a loss, it is borne by the bank. Useless, the manager is negligent. Meanwhile, in a musyarakah agreement, both the bank and the customer contribute capital and sometimes skills. Profits are divided based on a agreed ratio, while losses are shared according to each party's investment. This profit sharing model encourages fairness, transparency, and partnership instead of relying on fixed interests. In Islamic finance, investments are strictly limited to halal sectors, meaning that they must comply with Sharia principles. This means money cannot be invested in industries such as alcohol, gambling, pork products, or anything that causes harm to society. Instead, Islamic banks and investors focus on ethical and productive sectors like healthcare, education, technology, real estate, and businesses that provide real economic value. The purpose of this rule is to ensure that wealth is earned in a way that is clean, responsible, and beneficial to the community. By avoiding non-halal industries, Islamic finance protects both the investor and society from unethical practices while promoting fairness, sustainability, and social justice.
Next, in terms of customer service, employees in Islamic bank or finance institution are encouraged to treat clients with fairness, kindness, and integrity. Such a service reflects Islamic ethics and strengthens public trust in the system. From the perspective of work ethics, employees must always be honest, punctual, and responsible. For example, they should never miss a client information for personal gain. When these values are practiced by employers and customers, like Islamic finance, become more transparent, just and best, unlike conventional systems that main focus on profit. Next, Islamic ethics in finance are not just limited to bank or financial institutions, but also apply in our daily life. One clear example is in business deadlines. A shopkeeper or trader must always be honest for customers. This means giving the correct weight and measurement, charging fair price, and not hiding any flaws of the product. Even a small act like cheating, like adjusting the scale or increasing the price unfairly, is considered unethical in Islam. When a trader is honest people, we trust them more. Customer will return, the business will grow in a sustainable way, and the trader will build a strong reputation. Therefore, honestly in business is not only about making profit, but also about maintaining integrity and responsibility.
First, let's talk about honesty in business in daily life. Honesty is such an important value that Islam emphasizes again and again. For example, when a shopkeeper sells goods, they should not cheat customers by giving less weight, charging unfair prices, or hiding defects in the product. Even small actions like rounding up a price unfairly or delivering less than what was promised can break trust. Honesty is not about avoiding lies, it's about being transparent, fair, and sincere in every transaction. If we practice honesty, people will naturally trust us, and our income will not only grow but also be blessed with barakah. On the other hand, this honesty might bring temporary profit, but in the long run, it damages our reputation and removes blessings. So whether we are buying, selling, or even just dealing with friends, honesty should always guide our actions. It should be our first priority. Secondly, keeping promises in financial matters. This doesn't only apply to big loans in banks, but also in our everyday dealings. For example, if we borrow money from a friend, we must make sure to pay it back on time without delaying or giving excuses. Even if it's a small amount of money, fulfilling that promise shows our integrity. The same goes when we promise to contribute to a group project or collect funds for a class activity. We should keep our word and do it sincerely. Islam teaches us that a true believer is recognized by their ability to fulfill promises, because breaking promises not only weakens trust but also creates unnecessary conflict. When we consistently keeping our promise, people will feel safe and confident in dealing with us, and this strengthens relationships in our community, whether in business, studies, or personal life.
As my friend has already explained, Islamic ethics are not only applied in financial institutions like banks, but they are also highly relevant in our everyday life. For instance, Islam encourages us to support those in need through zakat, wakaf, and sadaqah. Zakat is a compulsory act of worship for Muslims who meet the conditions, while wakaf and sadaqah are voluntary charities. These practices not only purify our wealth, but also promote compassion, equality, and social responsibility. When we give part of our wealth to the less fortunate, we are reminded that money is a trust from Allah. True success does not come from how much we keep, but from how much good we are able to spread through it. This shows how Islamic ethics guide us to be generous, caring, and responsible in all areas of life. In conclusions, Islamic ethics are more than just guidelines. They represent a complete way of life. They ensure justice, fairness, and honesty in every financial dealing, whether in business, contracts, or even simple daily transaction. By practicing AKHLAK ISLAMIYYAH, we not only gain trust and respect from others, but more importantly, we gain the pleasure of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. In Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 188, and do not consume one other's wealth unjustly or send it in bribery to the rules in order that they might aid you to consume a portion of the wealth of the people in sin, while you know it is unlawful. This verse reminds us that ethical behavior in financial matters is not optional, but a duty as Muslim. When we uphold these values, we create not only a stronger economy, but also a more just and blessed society.
In conclusion, it is clear that by practicing Islamic ethics in business, we not only gain the trust and confidence of customers, but more importantly, we gain the pleasure and blessing of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. This is because Islam teaches us that qualities such as honesty, trustworthiness, justice, and sincerity are not only economic value, but also act of worship that will be rewarded by Allah. As Muslims, we must remember that business is an act of worship that requires pleasing, not just to make a profit. Our business will be stronger and praised by Allah if we manage it honestly, avoid cheating, and always keep our promises. Allah also emphasized in the Quran Surah Al-Mutaffifin 1-3 the word of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who to the dishonest, namely those who, when receiving weight of measure from others, take what is their full right, but when the weight or measure for others they reduce. This verse clearly emphasizes that Islam strongly prohibits cheating in weight and measure. It shows that honesty in business not only maintains humans' relationships, but also determines whether our sustenance is blessed or not. A business based on honesty will bring pleasing, while deceit, although it seems to offer quick profit, will ultimately lead to losses in this world and the hereafter.